Hello, this is Allison Merker Garner, and this video is Musical Minds 2. This is appropriate for students who have been playing an instrument for a while and are ready to be reading on a regular basis and are ready to put terminology to the concepts they learned in Musical Minds 1. So this video also is appropriate for parents and teachers. And I think that I will start out with a preamble for parents and teachers to explain what I'm doing. And then we'll have a class. So there's a point at which the students can join in and participate if they choose to do so. Musical Minds 2 follows Musical Minds 1. It is set up in 3 books. This is the textbook. It has all of the units in it. It has the listening examples in it. I have 6 CDs that actually walk you through the lessons. So it can be done without the involvement of a parent or a teacher. I'm your teacher and parent on the CD. So the student can do this independently. There is a reading book that goes with this that is supplementary. If you do not choose to use the reading book, it is fine. The reading book is simply there to support one way of knowing the concepts that are in here. That's all that's for. It is set up with flexible instrumentation. So if you have just violinists in your studio, or you are able to have more instruments and can include piano or viola or cello, any of those can use the reading book. And the tunes are set up as canons. So if you want to play a tune that practices a certain concept, you can make it more of a performance piece. You can put another part with it or put several parts with it. Make it as complex and challenging as you choose. The 3rd book is a chamber book, and that's beginning chamber music. So all the concepts we're learning in here, particularly those pianistic ones, are also exemplified in the chamber book. So things like contrary motion or parallel motion or a cadence pattern, those things are exemplified and demonstrated in those chamber books for students to be able to play together. And once again, some of those are flexible instrumentation and some of those are not. Some of those are prescribed parts. So we're going to focus on the textbook today. And because the textbook is broken up into 3 parts, there's an introduction that really puts terminology to the concepts we learned in Musical Minds 1. I'm not going to do the introduction on this video. The first unit includes rhythms that are in simple meter and some of the sharp scales. The second unit goes into compound meter and some of the flat scales. In addition to that, we're working on harmony. In addition to that, we're working on things like improvisation and arranging. We're working on expressive qualities and being able to play those on our instruments and how they're written on the page. We're putting into context the things that we're learning according to form or style period or culture, so that we learn the performance practice of some of these things that we're listening to or we're practicing. So it is kind of an all-inclusive book. Now, I'm going to begin at page 75. So if you have a Musical Minds 2 textbook, that is where I'm going to begin. And it might be helpful to you if you do have the book to look at it. If you do not have the book, that's okay. We're not going to have our noses glued to the book during the lesson. So every subunit starts with a rhythm and then a key. So in this case, we're doing dotted rhythms, and the key that we're going to focus on is D major. So every subunit starts out with a pattern in each of those areas. The rhythm has words underneath it. ORF teachers, Kodály teachers, and music learning theory teachers often use syllables or language to teach rhythm. As a Suzuki teacher, I don't do a lot of that. I may start out with some of that, but I want the kids to be hearing those rhythms without the tools of language early on. But that's my own opinion. So I have those language alternatives to the rhythms there for the teachers who want to use them. If they do not want to use them, disregard them. I disregard them, actually, because of just my own philosophy. But I see the value in it as well, and I respect that. The language that I use, for those of you who do use language for rhythm, is grammatically correct. So I will have a word for every beat, like walk, run, jump, swing for the beats, so that every time we're on a swing beat, we're on the fourth beat. If we're on a run beat, we're on the second beat. So it places the beats in a measure. The subdividing of the beat is grammatically sound. So if we say walk, slow, run, fast, we've got eighth notes. If we have running faster, we have 16th notes. And I do the same thing with the compound meter. So that's how that works. If that's something that you want to use, that's great. But I have found when I have taught Kodály and used language in ORF classes, that it's a stumbling block for my students to have to learn a new system all the time, or have to learn syllables that are meaningless. This way, they have a little bit more to go on. And they have the connection that every word in a sentence is like every beat in a measure. They have a different function, and they work together to create a meaning. So now, let's start with rhythm. So this is where students can participate. We're doing 2 rhythms today, and they are called dotted rhythms. If you are a pianist, you've played this rhythm in book 1. If you're a violinist, you've played that same rhythm in this. So that rhythm is one you've already performed. We're just going to learn to read it and feel it. The second rhythm that we're doing is like Witch's Dance in book 2 for the violinists. It's quicker. And so I want you to keep a beat with me. And we're going to do a chant that goes like this. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4, 5 potatoes, 6 potatoes, 7 potato more. If we did it this way and doubled our beat, 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4, 5 potato, 6 potato, 7 potato more. So we've got a rhythm that is a dotted rhythm. One note is longer than the other note. And in this case, the first note is longer. So I'm going to tap a rhythm. And I want you to clap it after me. Dum, bum, bum, ba-bum. Bum, ba-bum, bum, ba-bum. Bum, bum, ba-bum, bum. Dum, ba-bum, 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 bum. Dum, bum, bum, bum. Dum, bum, bum, bum. So we did that rhythm in a lot of different contexts, right? So your turn this time is I'm going to do a rhythm that has that dotted in it, and I want you to echo back something similar but maybe a little different. So I'm going to start with 4 beats. 1, 2, my turn. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's hard to think of something right on the spot that way, but that's improvising. You're having to make something up. Now, let's reverse that rhythm. We've been doing the long note and then the short note. Let's do bum 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 bum. So we now have it both ways, right? And we will get to the longer notes later. But for right now, we're going to stick to our dotted 8th and 16th. So I want you to get your instrument, or if you're a pianist, to sit down at the piano and choose any note. It can be any note on your instrument. I'm going to play in C major, so pianists could actually play with me, but string players may not, unless you want to start with low 2 on A string, which you can do. So here is Twinkle in C major with the rhythm that we've been working on. So we're going to do this one. Ready, go. Okay, so if we were playing it in D major and the string players were starting on open D, let's try that. And Pianists, you can try improvising, starting with your one finger on D note, or you can just stay on D note and play it with us. And I'm going to make it slower, so I'm going to do, okay? So I'm going to make it just a little slower than the time before. Ready, go. How'd you do? Did you keep up that rhythm? So you can do that same rhythm reversed and do short, long, short, long, short, long if you want to. And then you've got both of them practiced in Twinkle. So in our classes, we often add an ostinato to our tunes. If you've done any of my videos, you've done that already. So we're going to do an ostinato to a tune that is not in this book. The tunes that are in this book that exemplify this rhythm are wonderful tunes. They also are movement tunes. So we can't do the circle games, we can't do the movement things that I would do. So we're doing something we can do on a video. So this tune you will not find in your book for that reason. But I'm going to get my little helper here. And first let's do the tune. And then we're going to actually add an ostinato to it. So if this is a little babyish for you, hang in there because it gets more complicated pretty quickly. So this is like Naughty Kitty Cat. When you see my bunny, you can say, yes, ma'am. And we're going to do it on a certain pitch. Yes, ma'am, which is a D note. Yes, ma'am. So just practice, yes, ma'am, every time we see the bunny. All right? So you know when to say it. Here's our note. John the rabbit, yes, ma'am, had a mighty habit, yes, ma'am, jumping in my garden, yes, ma'am, eating all my cabbage, yes, ma'am, my sweet potatoes, yes, ma'am, my fresh tomatoes, yes, ma'am, and if I live, yes, ma'am, to see next fall, yes, ma'am, I ain't gonna have, yes, ma'am, no cotton at all, yes, ma'am. So we have what we call a call and response form on this one, don't we? Where you have a role and I have a role. So it's almost like we're having a conversation, but we're having it in song. So were you able to keep that pitch? I was struggling a little bit. I have a morning voice. So let's try it again. And I don't think you need the bunny. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it with an ostinato. So let's make our ostinato. John the rabbit, yes ma'am, had a mighty habit, yes ma'am, jumping in my garden, yes ma'am, cutting down my cabbage, yes ma'am, my fresh tomatoes, yes ma'am, my sweet tomatoes, yes ma'am, and if I live, yes ma'am, to see next fall, yes ma'am, I ain't gonna be, yes ma'am, no cotton at all, yes ma'am. So we started with a simple ostinato, didn't we? Doesn't have a dotted rhythm in it, but it's 1, 1, 2. We did in a previous Musical Minds 1 lesson a step, step, shape to that. So it's a familiar pattern. We're going to do that pattern, or I'm going to do that pattern while you do the dotted rhythm. And you could do the song, bum, ba bum, 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 ba bum, 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 bum. It's the same pattern, same rhythmic pattern over and over. You could do that, or you could make up your own that has a dotted pattern. But I'm just going to do, in D major, our ostinato. Ready, go. Okay, so can you do that rhythm that you just did, if that's the one that you did, in your right hand? So raise your right hand. That's the hand that's going to do that rhythm. Let's practice it. Okay, ready, go. Okay, your left hand is so you've got to do both. Okay, so give that a try, since I'm a different rhythm maybe than the one that you have chosen. But you want to get the ostinato started first. So, yeah, I did it wrong the first time, didn't I? I didn't do the half note. Okay, I'm doing John the Rabbit. You can do John the Rabbit with your right hand, and then the ostinato 1, 1, 2, or you can try something else. But you can do that on your own. But that is a good exercise. Once you start doing that, you're having to actually feel where that dotted rhythm functions within a beat. So, page 76, if you have it. If you don't, that is fine. You have the opportunity to read the top line with an ostinato that you make up on the bottom line. So if you decided to do 1, 1, 2, you would write quarter, quarter, half note. Quarter, quarter, half note. And the top line you could read on an open string or middle C. And it would go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1. Well, I can't read it from the backwards. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1, and 1, and 1, 1, 1, 1, right? So there's the rhythm. I can't read it off the screen very well. I get mixed up. Let me see if I can do it this time. And you keep an ostinato while I say it. And if you can tap your right hand what I'm saying, that would be even better. So let's start with your ostinato. I'll count off 4 beats, and then we're off and running. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1, and 1, and 1, 1, 1, 1. If you were saying it with the beats, here's 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 3 and 1 and 3, 4, 1, 3. And there's a number of examples there that you can use to practice that. So that is the rhythmic section for this unit. Now on page 77, we start with D major, D minor. And at every melodic segment, I state the tonic and the dominant for that key. Those terms we've been using in the introduction, so kids already know them. Tonic is the one note in a key. Dominant is the 5 note in the key. The 1 note is the home bass note. And the 5 note is the going away note. So in the first unit we did, if I did, it would sound incomplete. I would be away, but I wouldn't be home. So that's the 5. You can hear it. You can hear that it's unfinished. That time I ended with a tonic, so you can hear the tonic. So what about this one? I ended on the dominant. Didn't sound like it finished. How about this one? I ended on the tonic because that one finished. How about this one? It didn't finish. It ended on the dominant. And let's do one more. And that one finished. It was ending on the tonic. So you can hear that even if you don't understand what notes we're playing yet. You can hear that difference. So this particular unit starts out with some circle games and some movement games. And they are on the CD. The first one is going down to Cairo. And it sounds like this. Going down to Cairo, goodbye and a bye-bye. Going down to Cairo, goodbye Liza Jane. Black my boots and lick and shine, goodbye and a bye-bye. Black my boots and make them shine, goodbye Liza Jane. So that one is on there, and you've got several others as well. So we will not do those since we can't do them on a video. But we can do Go Talent Roadie. So those of you who are pianists learned Go Talent Roadie in book 1. So we did that way back in book 1 in C major. Violinists learned it in A major, so we started on C sharp and played on open A, right? And I would bet that viola and cello are on D. So they'd start with F sharp. All right, so you've got Go Talent Roadie. You can just kind of noodle a little bit, get it back in your fingers if you've forgotten. And we're going to play it in D major, so those violists and cellists have an advantage. They're not going to be playing it so much by ear as the rest of us who have not played it in D major before. So pianists, I want you to start with your 3 in your right hand on F sharp. Find F sharp. And violinists, that would be your 2 on D string. So you're going to do the same fingering that you are used to with Go Talent Roadie and put it down a string. So you're going to now start with 2 on D string. All right, so find that F sharp, it's that note, and let's play it. Ready, go. pianists, you could do a bourdon with this. And a bourdon, like we did in the first book with some of our songs, is a fifth. We're going to put a 5 on D and a 1 on A and just play that. And if you want to switch down to the C sharp when it sounds like it should happen, that would be great. But if you don't do that, it's okay too. But just to get a feel for the key, that might be helpful. All right, so let's do that again. And pianists, you can add that. And you string players, if you want to do the melody again, you can. If you want to just do open Ds and As and see where that harmony change should happen, that would be really great, right? So I may do that this time. Starting note for our melody is F sharp. Ready, go. So those of you who have done my first videos, this is a pattern we learned and memorized, the do, so, do pattern, isn't it? You could do open D, open A if you wanted to, but that's using the tonic and the dominant that we were listening to at the beginning. So I'm going to improvise, or I'm going to do a pattern, and you play it after me. We're going to just echo it back, and then we're going to improvise. So I'm going to start on D note. So you can find your D note on your instrument to be ready. Your turn. My turn. 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 The last one. Right? Okay. And here's one that we have done before too. Okay. So now I'm going to play a pattern, and you play it slightly different. But I want you to end on tonic. You've got to end on D, no matter what you do. Okay, so my turn first. Your turn. My turn. Your turn. Okay, so that way it sounds like a question and answer, doesn't it? I've asked a question and you've answered it. I've ended usually, not always, but usually on something that's not the tonic, and you're ending on a tonic, so it's more a declaration, more of a finish, right? So now let's look at some tetrachords. What are tetrachords? Tetrachords in my book are 4-note scales. first four notes of a scale, or the last four notes of a scale. The first four notes of this scale, let's play together. Get your instrument out, and we're going to start on D. D, E, F sharp, G. And then the last four notes of the scale, I start on G, our A, which is our dominant note. And let's start on A. Ready, go. B, C sharp, D. So the whole scale sounds like this. Ready, go. Okay? Pretty easy peasy. So most of you have probably already done scales and you've already gotten that memorized. But it's good to know what you're playing, where it comes from. These first four notes I call a tonic tetrachord, and this second set a dominant tetrachord, so that you have a name for each of those. One starts on the tonic note, the other starts on the dominant note. But as long as you can see that putting those together makes a scale, that's pretty cool. If we lowered the third note in our first tetrachord, we'd have minor. So this is D minor because we're doing an F natural. And then we just keep the dominant in a major for right now. So I'm moving over to a book that you may or may not have, so no worries. It is a reading book that goes with this, and I want to do a tune called Canon. This is Canon with one N in the middle and one N at the end. This does not have two N's in it in the middle. That is a gun. This is not a gun. This is a canon, which is a form, and it's like a round, row, row, row your boat kind of thing. So we will be playing the same tune, and eventually at a different time. So I bet you can memorize this by ear, even though it's in the reading book. And it sounds like this. Sorry, my bad. Ready, go. What does it sound like? It's a scale. It just has rhythm now to it. That's the only difference. But it's still just a scale. So play with me. We're going to start with either open D or your D note. Cellos may start over here or they may start here. It's entirely what you're comfortable with. Ready, go. Start on open D, repeat that note, repeat that note, go up the scale, one more time. So I want you to play that, and I'm going to play at a different time. So I'm going to get you started, and I want you to play it 2 times through. That's the other thing. So let's start out with your D, and you begin and just continue with the tune you know. Ready, go. So that's actually a 4-part harmony. So doing it 2 parts is a little weird because some of the scale notes are missing, but that's okay. That's okay. We can do it in 2 parts and still have a canon. So I have a number of those in here, and many of them start out with the melodic patterns that we've memorized back in Musical Minds 1. So you're recognizing those patterns in this key. So, all right. Now, we did the tetrachords. Musical dictation is next. So, I've already done 40 minutes on this YouTube video, so I'm gonna end right here, and then we're gonna do the rest of this unit on a second video, all right? And I will call it Musical Minds 2 Dotted Rhythms, Part 2, so you can find it, okay? Great, see you in a little bit.